Do I even know what Antifa is? Yeah, it's a shortened version of anti-fascist. That like anti-fascists are against fascism. Like that by definition, that's what their name means. So that's basically what they are. Okay. Um, BLM are literally KKK. No, that's not accurate. True anti-fascists are literally fascist. No. Um, I do you guys know what fascism is? Because I did an entire video last week about what fascism is. We went through the 14 points of fascism, and like kind of broke them down to try and understand them better. So I would suggest you maybe go check out that video. It's a highlight on my Twitch. Um, but otherwise, your understanding of fascism is woefully lacking. If you think that either Black Lives Matter or Antifa are in any way fascist or representative of a fascist ideology. Like, you're just kind of throwing around words and being silly, to be 100% honest with you. Um, yeah, it's real galaxy brain level thinking. I hate liberals who claim World War II US soldiers would be Antifa today. I mean, no, they would be against fascism. Like that literally that is what World War II US soldiers were. They were literally fighting fascists. That's literally what they did. Um, I used to be a fascist. It's literally closer to the left than it is to the right. No, that's incorrect. Fascism is economically left wing. Uh, no, it can, however, sometimes appeal to populism in order to spread its hateful ideology. However, it is by no definition a left-wing ideology. Um, Fascism is basically if Bernie Sanders were racist and nationalistic. I mean, no, no, you're just wrong. Although racism and nationalism are both highly involved in fascism, or can be useful components of fascism, leftist ideology is not inherently fascist. Dude, the streamer just says, no. Well, I'm saying, no, because your points are bad and wrong. If you had good and right points that were backed up by anything other than your feelings, then I might agree with you. However, you're kind of just throwing out things that are just blatantly wrong, so I just have to say, no, you're wrong. Like, present me with better evidence and maybe I'll change my mind. But you're arguing very poorly. So I it makes me doubt that you are actually getting your information from good sources in the first place. And it also makes me think that you're either not an honest actor, but I don't want to accuse you of that, um, or you're just arguing from feelings, like a combination of feelings and misinformation, somewhere in there. Am I? I'm a socialist, buddy. Um, let's see here. There's evidence to what we are saying. No, no, not really. Because if there was, you would be right. But having, as somebody who has studied history, you're wrong. Like, like you're just wrong. Um, like I'm base here's an example. I'm basing my definition of fascism on Umberto Eco's 14 Points of Fascism, which is a very famous and well-respected philosopher who lived under fascism in Italy. And then he went on later to write extensively about fascism. So that's what I'm basing my definition of fascism on. Now, you might have a different definition of fascism, but I would argue that it's probably not the mainstream accepted version of what fascism is. And you're just arguing that people you don't like are fascist. And that's what you think that people on the left are doing, but they're not. They're using the most commonly accepted term that is thrown around in academia. No, I minored in history as in college. So like I have actually studied history. I'm not just like pulling that out of my ass like most people are when they say they studied history because they remember like half of a lecture they got in high school civics. Um, did you know that Karl Marx was a racist and a sexist? Yeah, I'm not surprised. He lived in like the 1800s. Like but I don't advocate that people adopt Karl Marx's policies on race or gender. Like, I advocate that they look into his writings about capital and capitalism. Like the like you're just kind of pointing at a different issue. Now, granted, I also don't think that Karl Marx got everything right because there are a bunch of things that he couldn't have foreseen, 160 years ago. So, like, I don't know. There are probably some things we can do better. And there are probably some things that he thought were impossible then that are possible now. Can we post links? Uh, Unfortunately, no. Twitch does not allow link posting because also there are a lot of bots who come through and post like links to places that are not good. Um, Communist countries are highly socially conservative, while capitalist countries tend to be a lot more socially liberal. Well, here's the thing. So Che Guevara was extremely racist and homophobic. He gave slave owners 200 years prior to run for their money. A run for their money. Well, here's the thing. I can also point out a lot of capitalists who have a lot of character flaws as well. Okay, so like if we want to play this game, we can both point out people who are bad on both sides. But what I'm more interested in is fundamentally talking about the political policy and how we could improve the world and benefit people. Because I think that socialism provides the best path forward to that. So like you can play like this weird character game, but it's not a good argument against the policies. And also, like capitalism is not a is highly compatible with socially conservative movements. It's why Nazi Germany was capitalist. Most capitalists are highly individualistic. Race or whatever does not matter much to them. It's weird then that the main party in the United States um, that advocates for the most extreme versions of capitalism is also the party that is most involved in trying to disenfranchise black people. Um, well, here's the thing. Like, I agree with you in a sense. I agree that Karl Marx um, did put forward in his writings that capitalism was an improvement over feudalism. I agree with that. There are a lot of things that capitalism can do well. Unfortunately, there are also a lot of ways in which capitalism falls short, and that there are better things that we could do with our resources and distributing resources. For example, one thing that I believe in is that democracy is good and that we should have more democracy. So why not have democracy in the workplace? If democracy is a better way to govern a country, then maybe democracy is a better way to run a company. It would certainly get rid of the problem of CEOs making 400, 500, 10,000 times what their average worker makes. And it would definitely make workers happy. The existing data we have on, for example, worker co-ops show that they're more resilient companies, they're more efficient companies, and they're happier companies. Like people who work for them are happier. So like that's the kind of stuff that I advocate for. Like you're getting kind of lost in the weeds about like this whole capitalism would be the catalyst to be the destruction of traditional morality and religion, trans rights, women's rights. would not have come to exist under a socialist system where everyone is poor. Well, there's your problem, friend. You're talking about like a socialist system where everyone is poor, except that we have more than enough money to ensure that everyone in the United States could live like a middle class lifestyle, even if we embraced socialism. Like it's not that hard of a concept to understand, but like the propaganda you have ingested is leading you to this conclusion that it is an inherently bad thing. Next time, let us post links with evidence, since you want it so bad. Well, no, I mean, you're just wrong. Like that's the thing. I mean, how about this? Tell me where I can find your evidence, and maybe I'll look into it. Okay. Just search it up with your fingers. Well, look. Yeah, you can find Antifa attacking people. You can also find a whole lot of cops attacking people. You can find a whole lot of cops. And it turns out that destruction of property is an equivalent to like riding your bike over someone's head, or shooting people's eyes out, or breaking bones, or blackbagging protesters with secret police. Like these are all things that have happened, and why peaceful protests can suddenly turn very violent. It turns out when you meet peaceful protests with violence, it becomes really hard to keep the peaceful protests peaceful. And Undefeated Joe, you're just kind of like a really angry. Like, it's fine that you're angry, but just know that you're wrong while you're being angry. You think socialist Venezuela will give a fuck about trans rights? They'll behead you in a second when they find out capitalism is why you exist peacefully. And again, there are some things that capitalism can do well. However, there are also countries that are capitalist where I would also not be welcome at all. So, like, it really depends. Also, things aren't that great for trans people in America either, and America's pretty gosh darn capitalist. But the issue here is that I think that people deserve human rights and a basic standard of living. And we're not getting that under capitalism because it's not profitable to provide those things under capitalism. I would say most capitalist countries you'd be fine. True. There are a lot of capitalist countries in which I would be fine. However, I think that there are ways we could improve those capitalist countries if we made them socialist. And that's what I advocate for. I don't know why you're equating like moving a country towards socialism to giving up like human rights. Like that's those two things aren't hand in hand. You're kind of creating that connection on your own. Yeah, I mean, like, free healthcare for all. I mean, like, um, free healthcare for all. Like, everyone should have a place to live. You shouldn't need to either work or die. You should be able to eat and live and pursue, pursue your interests and like find fulfillment in doing that instead of being forced to like flip burgers for $12 an hour and barely be able to make your rent. Like, healthcare is not a basic standard of living. You need healthcare in order to live, friend. Like, like what do you think happens if you get sick and are on your deathbed? Do you think that that's a good standard of living if you're like 25 and like dying of asthma or whatever, diabetes, it doesn't matter. Sounds pretty gay, not gonna lie. Stop caring about others, let them face the elements of nature by themselves. Wait, you're doing fine, focus on you, stop caring about others, let them face the element of nature by themselves? What? No, you should care about others, you should lift up the entire country. And also, I am gay, so like, it's fine. Like, capitalism is the best system. No, capitalism was an improvement over feudalism, and your adherence to it is just something that has been instilled in you by decades of propaganda from people who have more money than you could ever dream of having. So I think you need to rethink your priorities and rethink where you're getting your ideas from. Why should you care for others when 9 out of 10 they consider you degenerate? You fight for people who view you as less than them. Yeah, I do. Because I think everyone, regardless of whether they like disagree with me or not, deserves a better life. That I I think that that's a good way to go. Like I wouldn't pass like universal health care if I was like suddenly president or something. I wouldn't pass universal health care and be like, "But you can't have it if you're racist." No. Like no, universal means universal. You have a program that provides these things to everyone regardless of what they believe. Um let's see. Lol, why should you care for others? Oh, we already read that. You look pretty well off. Instead just laugh at those lower than you, I'd respect you more. Like I don't care about race or gender or sexuality. I'm extreme individualist capitalist. Well, I mean, that that's a problem with your character, friend. Like you're just basically admitting to not being a good person. I think you should care about other people. Like I think that the system you have bought into and ascribed to actively hurts people, and I don't think that that's good. So, like, it might just be a fundamental difference in morality between you and I, but I think that we have a social obligation to one another in our communities. Caring about others is how you get fascism. No, actually, hyper individualism and the embrace of like toxic elements of masculinity um, are how you get fascism. Like caring about others is not fascism. Uh, it turns out that the bastardization of caring about others into nationalism is how you get fascism. So I think you can care about others without being a fascist. If everyone just stopped caring about anything but themselves, you would have no racism. Not true, because there are many kinds of racism, friend. In fact, like for example, it turns out that in a capitalist society, you are more likely to be die poor if you're born poor. If you're born rich, you're more likely to die rich. Um, so it turns out that when the United States enslaved people for hundreds of years, and then suddenly they were, you know, released from their servitude, um, turns out that they were born poor and that a lot of them continued to die poor because that is the general trajectory of capitalism. So when you say racism would not exist if people didn't care about each other, um, no, because the effects of our past racism would still impact people today. Like if you made the law completely unbiased, we would still have racism in society because the history of slavery and segregation and Jim Crow like continue to this day in like the way black people are distributed throughout our cities or throughout the country or and how wealth is distributed among those communities. So like on average, like the average black family has like 1/40th the amount of wealth as the average white family. So like it's stuff like that where that perpetuates racism and allows a lot of our modern policy about like policing and everything else to be kind of racist without people saying the N word explicitly. Let me put it that way. It's a slippery slope. We can have a cultural reset. No, that's insane. That you're drinking the crazy juice. Um, Also, are you like a Nazi or something? Like, I'm just curious. Like, you can just give like an honest answer. I'm not gonna like ban you or anything. Um, Also, I'm gonna have to take a break to go to the bathroom soon. Um, okay, so you're an AnCap? That's I mean, that explains a lot if you are, but like that. Okay, you're just you're. Wait, then what are you? You're an anarchist who believes that capitalism is the best system. So like, I don't know. It sounds like an AnCap. Capitalism will most likely exist under my version of anarchy, but I'm more of a moral. You can't claim to be you're a moral individualist if you're also claiming you don't care about other people. Like, unless your morality only affects you, and you don't believe that your actions towards others has any bearing on your morality, which is kind of an insane way to think, but I mean, I, you do you, I guess. Uh, but you you're an ANCAP. You believe in capitalism and anarchy as like the two systems that will hold together society after the abolishment of the state, which is again just kind of an insane thing to think. Like, I don't see how you're going to achieve the abolishment of the state if you're advocating that companies and corporations should still exist. Um, you don't care about society. Well, I mean, like, I guess in your like in your hypothetical perfect world, like it must just be like a kind of Mad Max society, or you somehow live at the top of it in some way. Because if you're just an average person in an ANCAP society, there's nothing. What's preventing, for example, like the biggest corporation from like hiring people as soldiers and just taking over everything and establishing a new state where they're a monopoly over everything? Like, like you're basically just kind of setting the stage to reinvent feudalism, I guess. But you're not like you have no systems in place. You literally believe females should be sold. Oh, okay. No, I mean, actually, no. That is incredibly ANCAP of you. Um, you literally believe females should be sold as sexual slaves. That's not very ANCAP. No, it is actually very ANCAP. Like that's the logical endpoint of your system. Um, well, the non-aggression principle is kind of undermined by the existence of a capitalist society. Like those two things are not uh, like you're saying you don't think you should care about other people, but you also think that people in your hypothetical society should adhere to a non-aggression principle. Uh, That's how society should be tread on. No, you're being totally insane. Like, there's no way a society like that would ever work. And if might makes right, then you're just gonna get rolled by people who are gonna work with other people. Like, holy shit. Yeah, no, you're absolutely ridiculous. Um, all right. I mean, nothing personal, mate. Like, you're, it's not forbidden to form alliances with others in an ANCAP society. No, it's totally not. But also, like, they're, they're, let's just put it this way. Jeff Bezos has enough money to buy his own private army like 100 times over. What you're proposing, having like a system of alliances, would basically be a state unto itself, which kind of defeats the point. Which is why being ANCAP is utterly ridiculous. Um, this is just like your hypothetical society is so flimsy that feudal warlords were able to would have been able to overcome it. Like, there's no way a it can work. be that it is consistent with the ideology or the moral framework that you have put forward in this discussion so far. It really just sounds like you want to rape women. Like that seems like your fundamental position and what you want, which in my world would be bad. And you would probably be arrested for that. I am actually pro arresting rapists. I am that. I will concede to that position. Um, I like it's just really weird. It's just really weird that you're like trying to have like this moral high ground, and then you're also like, yeah, you should also be able to buy women as sex slaves. Um, eh, like I don't know how this. It's so dumb. I literally have no words. Right? Like holy shit. Oh, this has been a fun chat though. I'm enjoying myself quite a bit. Um, just know that I am laughing at you, not with you. It's how we've lived for thousands of years, but then religion and state got into the mix. No, I don't. I don't actually think that when we lived communally, that people were non-consensually having sex. I think when we lived communally back in the day, before states and before religion, probably people embraced polyamory, and consent was still a big deal within a community. Um, so, like, your idea of how uh, ancient civilization worked, or like hunter gatherer societies worked, is not accurate, and also supremely weird and informed by a very toxic idea of masculinity. Uh, True. Things were better then. Look at the Flintstones. Look, I don't think pedophilia in ancient contexts has the same like meaning that it does today, because people were dying at like 20 years old. So like I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt back then, but I also don't think that like in a community where you were at, people would be okay with you like raping a 5-year-old. Like I think that was probably going out on a limb, still wrong 10,000 years ago. Still wrong back then. Gonna gonna take a bold stance and say that mothers were still cared for their children. Um, did you know that the lowest age of consent in America was 9? I mean, that doesn't surprise me, but I also know that like religious marriages can still occur between adults and children in the United States, and that's largely a result of conservatives in the United States defending it as a religious practice, um, which not cool. I am actually for abolishing that, and you know what? I might even be convinced to say that the age of consent should be raised. Um, to what age? Not sure, but maybe 21. Um, we can have a discussion about that, but yeah, arguing that like 9-year-olds are okay to have sex with is pretty yikes. Pretty yikes. Um, Also, Sentry Dish, I keep coming back to your comment. I do wish we lived in a Flintstones world. That would be a good world. Though also the implications of having sentient dinosaurs do most of the labor is concerning. You don't sound very communist. You want to have even more laws. I mean, no. What I am is a socialist. My belief is that the first step we need to take in order to get to an even better world is to step towards socialism, because I believe that democracy is a good way to organize a state, possibly the best way to organize a state. Um, and that we should use that system both within our government and also within our workplace so that workers, in that sense, have control over the means of production. And once we achieve that, that's still not full socialism. Then we have to work on abolishing the commodity form, which I think would be much more difficult, but I think we could do it. So here's my hypothetical roadway towards a better future. Give companies, if they want to sell to another company, they have to give their workers the chance to buy the company collectively and turn it into a worker co-op. In fact, we should move most, if not all, of our companies to being worker co-ops. And then, once we've done that, we work on abolishing the commodity form and, having the systems down to distribute to people as they need. And then from there, we have achieved socialism. And then we take stock of where we're at and try and go towards, maybe it's communism, maybe it's anarchy, some form of anarchism. But I'm not going to pretend I know which one I would prefer. But I do know that the first step, I think, should be towards more socialist policies. What happens when you have a rather significant minority of people who do not want your socialism but exist in your society? Should they be sent to the wall? No, I think we should have democracy. Like, if they don't want to live in a socialist country that has become socialist via democratic consent of the people, I mean, they're free to leave. No one's gonna force them to stay, and no one's going to mass murder them. Unlike people in like the QAnon conspiracy, socialists have no inherent desire to mass murder. So they will be forced into it? No. I mean, insofar as democracy forces people to do anything, like right now we are being forced to do things. And I think that's fine in a democratic society. So, whether or not we get to a anarchist society where everyone can consent to everything that is happening, I think we need to take a necessary step, and that necessary step is towards socialism. Genocide and socialism are pretty much interchangeable at this point. I mean, no. No, those are two different concepts and ideas, and they are not inherently linked in any way. However, you know what is inherently linked with genocide? Capitalism. The entirety of North America, South America's population, for example, when Spain came over, dipped by 95%. You have all kinds of test cases across Africa where the capitalist extraction of resources from Africa cost hundreds of millions of lives. Just the policies of England in India cost hundreds of... No, sorry. The last estimate I read, the UK inflicted over 1 billion deaths on India over the course of several hundred years. So, if you want to talk about genocide being inextricably linked to capital, or inextricably linked to an ideology, it would be capitalism, not socialism. Now, I'm also not going to say that the socialism that I am proposing is identical to China's or, and I'm giving these China's or Russia's or Cuba's, also because China, Russia, and Cuba all have very different forms of government and the way that they have structured their society that are not really socialist in any sense. Maybe Cuba, but I don't know enough about Cuba to really make that argument. However, I do know for sure that China is not socialist by any stretch of the imagination, and that Russia was also never socialist. Um, let's see. If it was not done voluntarily without the consent of the victims, then it is not capitalism. No, that's bullshit. Like if someone holds you at gunpoint and says, "Okay, you either work for 12 hours a day, 6 hours a week, sucking my dick, or you die," um, that's not really consent. If you go, "Okay, I'll do that," is it? Because you're really just choosing between death or sucking a dick. So, like, no, capitalism has that's why there's the phrase "the coercion of capital," because capital in effect does exactly what I just described. Either you work or you die in capitalism. And what I'm proposing in socialism is actually the opposite, where you can work and pursue your dreams without the threat of death looming over you, like death, homelessness, poverty hanging over you if you choose to, not work for whatever reason. Would you rather die or be transgender, hypothetically? I mean, I think it's fine to be transgender, to be 100% honest with you. Um, Capitalism gives you the choice, socialism does not. No, well, I mean, maybe the way you understand socialism, it works that way, but that's not the socialism I'm proposing, so I think you have a fundamental misunderstanding of what I'm talking about, if that's what you think I am proposing. Um, Between your statement and username, that's a yikes, my dude. Yeah, it's a pretty yikesy username, too. Um, oh, sorry, Texas Beef. I missed your comments. Well, and if we are talking about democratic socialism, if the majority decides something else is better, then the majority can vote it to be so. True. And the "they can leave" sentiment isn't always realistic. Also true. Um, though I think in this case that like this very fringe case that our conservative AnCap friend is proposing, um, if it was really at that sort of a conflict point, I think that the socialist society would be under like an obligation to just be like, okay, you don't have to be here. We will give you the resources in order to leave, or we will give you like a independence or whatever. Capitalism gives maximum freedom. Nah, totally not true. Um, I've been following a lot of left-wing females on Twitter, and even they can have dumbass politics. They are hot. Do you think sexual appeal is paramount if in turning people over? And I feel like that big-titted ginger and shoe on head do more for socialism than a boring lecture from old. I mean, there's definitely something to be said for how how the message is conveyed. Like different presentations will resonate with different people, and I think that the left benefits from having um, a myriad of different presentation styles, and also charisma. That's true, Texas Beef. True. Um, People take in information better when they like the person giving it. Also true. Um, I do think that and sexual appeal can play a factor in presentation of uh, news and commentary. So, conservative women are hotter. True. Conservative women are hotter in some cases. And in some cases, I mean, when they don't look like they just came off of an assembly line. Um, I don't, I don't know why you have that feeling about if read this gay. I don't know why you have this feeling about conservative women being whores, but like, I, I don't know why you have that opinion. Did someone hurt you? If so, like, I'm sorry, but yeah, I would just encourage you to rethink your perception of women. Um, let's see. Conservative women act like aggressive men. Mm, not true. Like there are a lot of conservative women who are definitely not that. And I've been around a lot of conservative women, so I know. Um, I know who Ashley B. Coffin is. I think I may be socialist by the end of the year if more females like her exist. I mean, true, fair, whatever gets you over to the right side, friend. We want to venerate the housewife, not put them in slave labor factories. My dude, what the fuck are you trying to say? I prefer bleeding heart liberal women. They're very submissive and idealistic, very childish. I feel like you have neither of you met like many women because like your perceptions of how women are very skewed and silly. Like to the point of like I feel like the only women you've encountered are like the two meme women in 4chan, like 4chan memes, like the girl in like the dress and the girl in the black. Like I feel like those are the two women specifically you guys are talking about, and it's very strange. Um, although, let's see. Um, Also, if read this gay, please be respectful to other people in chat. I don't mind if you disrespect me, but other people, I do mind. Please be respectful, okay? Uh, they should be first forced to work like everyone. Women do not get special privileges for being female. Wait, yeah, capitalism did force them to work. They don't. Housewives do work. They just don't get paid for their work. Although, I guess this makes sense in like your hyper capitalist AnCap brain, where like housework isn't real work because they don't get paid for it. So I guess it's consistent with your ideology. It's just further evidence that your AnCap stance is very narrow-minded and ineffectual and not smart. I I encourage you to like maybe do some reading off of Poll or something and find your way towards a more coherent and maybe less inherently awful ideology. Oh, so you are an ANCAP because before you were saying you weren't an ANCAP. Um, Also, you fucking hating women does make sense with your intention to turn the world into an anarchist hellscape specifically so you can buy and sell women. Um, because Jews make the best anarchists? I don't know about that. Um, let's see. I'm an ANCAP because I fucking hate women. I mean, I don't really know how to help you, but I feel like maybe that stance comes from you not being super, like, confident in yourself. And I just encourage you, like, whether it's from Jordan B. Peterson, clean your room, find a sense of worth in yourself, because, like, the idea that you need to destroy society in order to live in a world where you can buy and sell women for sex, like non-consensual sex, is really messed up and indicative that you need to just like be confident and be able to get out there and like meet women who love you for who you are. Because those women exist. They're out there. Whether you're an ANCAP or like a big brain socialist like me, they're out there. Um, and I feel like you need more experience, and that right now you're just kind of trapped by your hate, and I want to liberate you, friend. Um, Under ANCAP, Epstein and Weinstein would rule all over. I mean, let's see. Age of consent should be completely. All right, friend. I mean, like you said, you're not a Nazi, but why are you lying? Why are you lying? Why just be honest. I said there wasn't going to be any consequences. Um but yeah, I've personally enjoyed this conversation. It's very revealing about the state of conservatism and like honest discourse. Because like here's the thing. I'm honest about what I want. I'm honest about how to get where I want to go, and I'm honest about um, the ideology that motivates me. You are not. You're just consistently moving your goalposts as we talk, and it's very funny and also very sad. Um, yeah, you used to be a fascist, but you've changed your ways, and now you just want to enslave women against their will. Um, it's very. I do have to emphasize that I really do hope you get like the help you need, and I don't necessarily mean like in like a mental ward, but I mean like being in a coffee shop at some point and like making eye contact with someone who approaches you and is just like, "Hey, want to hang out or sometime?" Like something like that. Like and that slowly like melts your cold, hate-crusted heart. Because it's really sad to see you in this state, okay? So, you know, buck up, get your chin up, and get out there, friend. Um, I mean, you don't have to care about race to be a Nazi. There are black Nazis. Um, but also you did just take about you just did just talk about how Epstein and Weinstein would be all over the Goy cattle. So like I don't know, it seems like you kind of care about one thing in that, maybe a couple of things in that. Uh, let's see. Or state. All state is bad. Nazism is about state power. I mean, Nazism is about a whole lot beyond state power. Remember when I started off this conversation, I was talking about how Umberto Eco's 14 points is pretty comprehensive when it comes to the nebulousness of fascism. I'd encourage you to go check those out. It's not a very long read, and it's available for free online. So I would I would say maybe check that out, and also definitely get help if you are sexually interested in young children. That's very gross, and I hope you get some help. Okay? Yeah, see, like trying to reframe your statement as like I meant that as a compliment to Jews, rapist Jews who live like objectivists. I mean, I guess it's also consistent with your ideology that you don't care that they're rapists, but also like yeah, 16-year-old girls are children. They're children, okay? Like have you yeah, they're children. Yeah. Um Man, well, no wonder you don't want to live under socialism. Like, under socialism, you would be raping children. Like, that, I guess it runs counter to your ideology. But you know what? I feel like we've gotten to mask off territory a while ago. And you're probably not gonna, like, you know, accept that you're wrong. But I just encourage you, please get help. And please just find more confidence in yourself and get out there to, interact with the world a little bit more. I know that's difficult with COVID, but maybe spend less time on 4chan or 8chan or whatever slime pit you've kind of festered these ideas in. Um, and maybe you'll find it in yourself one day to care about other people, okay? All right. They're banned. Um, like, I have no problem talking with a mask off Nazi. In fact, I enjoyed a great deal of that conversation. I think it's very illuminating about how slippery and nebulous fascism and hatred can be, especially among like conservative ideologies like AnCap, like anarcho-capitalism. Um, Rape and consent are liberal social constructs? No, actually, they're not. Um, but when someone starts advocating that they should be able to have sex with children, we're gonna that's gonna be a cutoff line for us, I think. Okay. Oh yeah, every wall will fall. You missed a glorious conversation with an AnCap who wanted to, who specifically just hates women and wants to enslave them. And they were trying to lecture me about what fascism is, and then it just slowly devolved into arguing that he should be able to have sex with a 16-year-old. So they raped. They I mean they got banned. Um, that was pretty wild, Sentry Dish. Also, hello. I seen Sentry Dish? Have I seen you here before? Are you new? I don't remember you subscribing, but hello, welcome. Um, let's see. 16-year-old is a child, as 18 is a child. He wants to get there first. Sounds noble to me. I mean, I'm also in favor of raising the age of consent. So, I mean, uh, I in a sense agree with you there. Agree with you in terms of 18 is still a child. I do not, however, agree with the sentence, he wants to get there first sounds noble to me. That just sounds like you want to have sex with the youngest possible child. Um, yeah, well, welcome, Sentry Dish. I appreciate having you here. You've contributed greatly to the discourse this day. Um, Marry and have sex with virgins. I mean, dude, you can marry and have sex with virgins that aren't children. There are plenty of virgins out there who are not kids. Like, what the fuck? Like, if having sex with a virgin is really important to you, you can find people who are virgins. Um, 90% of women in their 20s are not virgins. I mean, I'm not entirely sure where you're getting your data from, but even if you accept that, like, you can still find like 10% of women is still like, I don't know, hundreds of millions of women. But like, I also think prioritizing having sex with a virgin is kind of silly. Like, why no, why is having sex with a virgin important? Like, at all? We're out we're out here trying to change the system. Like, no, just have sex with a any like women who you like. History book told me. All right, yeah, that's not okay. Wait, guys, back off. A history book told him something. An ambiguous history book with no name. Okay, like the cover was ripped off, the pages boiled in acid. There was only one page left, and it said that 90% of women over 20 are virgins, or not virgins. Um, trying to change it back. Um, yeah, I like here's the thing. Like it it you're you are the one who is writing off 90% of women who aren't virgins. So like you're the one who is purposely narrowing your field of acceptable candidates here to just 10% of the female population. Like, have you considered that maybe having sex with a virgin isn't all that important? And maybe instead you should prioritize, meeting people you like and who like you back, and maybe having sex with those people who are also, like, not children? Like, I feel like what I'm saying here is very reasonable, but, like, I don't know if that's gonna reach you. Dating, you know what? I agree with you. Dating is cringe. Super awkward. But you know what? It's also really cute. I'm way more interesting than any woman I could meet. I mean, having talked with you now for a little bit, I'm not entirely sure that that's the case. Um, oh, well, you know what? That's fine. I accept your apology. But like, I also would encourage you to maybe get out there and meet more women because while dating is cringe, finding people you click with and can at the very least be friends with is a really good feeling. And you know what? You should have that good feeling too, friend. He located the last page in existence, far from the caves of Namodol. It said, "Behold, 90% of women have done the sex by age 8. Thou shalt declare a normie with thine holy rod must not trespass. Every wall will fall. I appreciate you. I appreciate you a lot." Stop trying to be nice. Look, my dude, I'm not trying to be nice. I'm genuinely just kind of concerned for you, okay? Like, I want you to be okay. Like, my concern for other people is has no bearing on like whether or not you're like advocating for positions that I inherently disagree with. Like, I want everyone in the United States to be happy and healthy, okay? And that includes you, even if you like are disagreeing with me, and even if you're like kind of have like these really twisted and messed up ideas about like uh women. Like, I think you deserve good things too, right? Um and like I'm also not going to say it's not going to take any work on your part. Like, not everyone can just like walk outside and have like women falling over them. But like Archangel the is saying, find like a nice personality with and like with someone who has some common hobbies. And like, honestly, a lot of the time like physical attractiveness doesn't have anything to do with whether or not people are actually into one another. Like, you can you can find people who you're into and who are into you, and that will be a good day for you, okay? Promise. I promise they're out there.